You're listening to Zeitgeist Banana, a podcast all about the English language. My name's Gideon. I'm in Paris and I'm joined once again by Jon in London. Hello, Jon. How are you?
No, I'm in Amsterdam.
You're in Amsterdam? What accent is that?
My Dutch accent. It was good, wasn't it?
Not really. My Dutch accent, I think, is a little bit better than yours. Like, hello, Jon. How are you today?
Oh,
you
yeah.
Fine.
That's really good. Yeah.
A bit better?
That. Yeah, it's a bit
Not
better.
Perfect. I like the Dutch accent. It's a beautiful language, Dutch, isn't it?
It is, yeah, very much so.
Yeah. I don't speak it, but I like the sound. It's a bit musical.
Yeah.
And why am I talking about Dutch? Why are we talking about Dutch? Because that's the theme of today's podcast. Yes, indeed. It is the influence of Dutch on the English language. And if you're learning English, stay tuned, because 1% of the English language, of the origin of English words, come from Dutch. Did you know that? Did you know that, Jon?
I didn't. Well, only 1%.
Well, actually, 1% is quite a lot. When you think 1 in every 100 words, 100 everyday words that we use is from Dutch, then yeah, that's quite a lot.
Yeah, that's a good point, actually, isn't it?
Yeah, of course. We won't go over all statistics today because they're up for debate, the statistics, for many different reasons, which I'll go into another time. But about 40% is French, and about 15% is Latin. And before the listeners get angry about my statistics, I'm actually making a video about how statistics for the origins of the English language are compiled. And it's a very contentious thing. We won't talk about it today. Trust me. It's very interesting too. Trust me. But approximately 1% are Dutch. And Jon, you teach English, don't you?
I do teach English. Yeah,
I teach English, and I don't know if you had the same experience as me, but I teach in France, in Paris at the moment. I've taught in Spain, also in the UK, but that's another story. But when you teach people who have Romance languages as their first language, then they almost always default to the Romance word, the Latin-based word, when they're speaking. So, for example, they'll say, I prefer to go to the cinema than the theater, whereas a native speaker might say something like, I'd rather go to the theater. You see what I mean?
Yeah, that's true, isn't it? I hadn't really thought about that, but that's very true, yes.
Another example, there's a strong possibility that, I don't know, this thing will happen. And a native speaker might use the word possibility, might use the word likelihood. There's a strong likelihood that this could happen. But then when in class you use the word likelihood, they don't understand it. What's that? I've never heard it before. And it's because they're referencing, the words that cross over, are familiar in their own language. Have you noticed that, Jon?
I have noticed that. Yeah, I mean, it makes sense though, right? Doesn't it? Because you always want to have a connection. And if you create a connection, then it's easier to remember things, isn't it?
It's important, especially, once again, if you're teaching these kind of people, to give them vocabulary which is not Latin based, because some words are really common and they don't know it, and also it surprises me even to this day. So I'm making a point of it now, and Dutch is, well, it's a good starting place as well. Lots of common Dutch words that we'll look at in a minute.
And likelihood, is that a Dutch word?
I don't think so.
Okay.
I don't have the etymology at hand, but it's not from a Latin language.
Oh, okay.
Pretty sure.
Interesting.
Pretty sure. Any idea why there's so many Dutch words in English?
Is it something to do with our trade with the Dutch in the past and the fact that we had close relations?
Well, yes, many reasons. Many reasons. Starting off point, lots of tribes, because actually Britain is close to that part of the world. So tribes came over, as well as the Anglos, the Saxons, the Frisians came over that spoke kind of Dutch. And by the way, just an aside, the closest language to English is Frisian. Did you know that?
No, I didn't know that.
Yeah, the closest language is Frisian.
Okay.
Closest language to English is Frisian. Yeah.
Okay.
You'd be hard pressed to understand Frisian, but maybe it's quite easy to learn. There are lots of things we have in common grammatically and vocabulary wise.
It's kind of from the north of the Netherlands, is that right?
Yeah. And Also, there are other reasons too. When the Norman conquest in 1066, a lot of the soldiers that came over along with the Normans were actually Dutch soldiers. Yeah.
Wow.
And then it carried on. There was immigration. And in certain trades, the Dutch were very strong in shipping, in medicine, I think. The beer industry, they made beer. They still do in Belgium and the Netherlands. So a lot of words related to beer, such as, for an example?
Yeah.
Such as brewery, I think is a Dutch word. Hops, that comes from Dutch.
Does it now?
And later on, we were trading partners and also rivals as well. Yeah, rivals in war. We went to war with them.
We did, didn't we? A few times, yeah.
Yeah. What we're going to do today, John, is we're going to look at some English words of Dutch origin, a few common ones, everyday ones that you can add to your armory of English vocabulary, some very good words. And also, I've got 3 idioms that relate to the time when the English and Dutch were, well, at war, or at least at conflict. So we'll look at that too. Are you ready?
I am ready. I'm always ready to improve my English vocabulary.
Okay. So the first word, as I said, a lot to do with drink, as I already mentioned. The word booze.
Booze.
Booze, yeah. I must have some booze. Have you got some booze?
Yeah, my fridge is full of booze.
I'm sure. This is one of those words where I say the word booze in the class, people don't know what it is, but it's a very common word, isn't it?
It is. I suppose it's not really an official word, is it? It's slang, isn't it?
I would say slang because it's used everywhere, but it's how do you say informal term for alcoholic beverages, isn't it?
It is, yeah. It's a good phrase though, isn't it? People do use it. Yeah. John,
why I'm talking about booze in my English class, but
is that how you help your students? You hand out booze?
Only before the exams. And why would I do that? We'll come to the first expression. You give me the opportunity. Why would I give booze to my students before the exam?
To give them Dutch courage.
To give them Dutch courage. Very good. Very good. Yes. So Dutch courage, do you want to explain that one?
Dutch courage is normally when you drink some, it's like a spirit, isn't it? Something like a whiskey or something like that. You would have a whiskey to, give you confidence before you do something, to settle your nerves.
Exactly. It's getting your courage, like a false courage, the courage you get from alcohol, isn't it? So they used to give a tot of rum to soldiers who went over the top to start fighting in the First World War. That'd be an example of Dutch courage. Mm-hmm. Or John, if you see a girl that you like across the dance floor, you want to go and speak to her, then you might take a drop of Dutch courage.
Yeah.
Is that what you do?
I always do that, yeah.
Okay, we'll talk about that another time. So that's Dutch courage, our first idiom. So note that one down.
Yeah, I'm noting it down. Yeah, because I didn't know that. No, but so why is it Dutch courage? Why does it come from the Dutch?
I think this is up for debate, but they say again it's a time when we were at conflict with the Dutch, and the Dutch weren't as courageous as the British. They needed some booze in order to get their courage. So maybe it's a pejorative term. But as I said, not exactly sure of the origin.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. Well, that makes sense though. Yeah.
Another word is to snoop. I like the word. They sound nice for Dutch words as well in English. To snoop.
Snoop, yes. I like
Have you been snooping around again, John? I've warned you about that.
Yeah. Well, yes. Sorry. Snooping around is kind of like you're looking for things, aren't you? So say for example, food, been snooping around the cupboards trying to find some chocolate.
Snooping around, it's a bit like spying, isn't it? Except you're not spying for government or anything, you're just spying for yourself.
You are, yeah. I suppose you're kind of looking for something, aren't you? and kind of maybe your parents have hidden the chocolate and you're snooping around in the cupboards.
Yeah. Okay. Next word. Well, I'll give you just half a dozen words, John. Some not for you, but for the listeners. These are beautiful words. You should definitely use them. The next one, I love this one. It is to hanker.
Hanker. I like
that
now,
one. Once again, my French students would say something, I desire adventure. Whereas a native speaker might say, I'm hankering for some adventure.
Yeah, definitely.
Don't you think so?
Yeah, that's a nice word as well.
Yeah, it's a nice word. A strong desire for something. I'm really hankering for some adventure. Are you hankering for anything, John?
I'm hankering for some adventure, yeah. I'm hankering for a trip to the Netherlands, to Amsterdam.
Okay.
Yeah, now you've been talking about it, I want to go drink beer, snoop around a bit.
I did do a Google search for hankering for an example for this episode, and the first one that came up was hankering for chicken. Try this. Hankering. I don't hanker for chicken, but maybe you can hanker for food, can't you? I think craving would be the other word we use for food, I thought, but I suppose you can use hankering as well, can't you?
That's true. I mean, often it would be craving, wouldn't it, for food? As you say, it's more common to use that, whereas hankering is maybe more of a real desire to do something interesting and exciting, isn't it?
Yeah. So the next word, this word, I think my students would know it, but it has interesting origins. It's geek.
Geek.
Yeah, which comes from gek, which in Dutch means crazy or a fool. So it's strange, isn't it? It's changed.
That is very strange, yes.
So now a geek is a person. I think the way they use it in French, sometimes they know the word geek, but they use it differently. It's because I think it's just all about technology, isn't it? If you're a geek, you're really into technology.
Yeah, you're a geek, aren't you?
I'm a little geek.
Yeah,
I don't need to own all the things, but I'm really interested in like new technology and how it all works or how it all fits together and the way we're moving as a society, as the human race, the way we're headed. I find that fascinating. So I am a bit of a geek in that way. I like technology, how it works, but I don't need to own the latest iPhone or anything like that. No,
but you take a real interest, don't you? As you say, like
yeah, sort of, yeah. I would like that stuff. Not you?
I think to some extent, I think men in general are more likely to be geeky, aren't they? So I think, I mean, maybe that's a bit of a generalization, but I think men like geeky things.
You're going to get some complaints now online. Oh, John, yeah, it's not true. Yeah.
It's true. Well, you've got to create some controversy so that we get more hits. That's it, isn't it?
Yeah.
That's how it
okay. For a moment to hankering, maybe it's a good moment to mention a few food items that come from Dutch. You'd be surprised because they're not famed for their cuisine. Nevertheless, there are quite a few food words from Dutch. You don't know, do you? You don't know, do you?
I'm trying to think of one. Flapjack.
Oh, I don't know. That's a good one. It sounds a bit Dutch, doesn't it?
It does, doesn't it?
It does sound a bit Dutch. I don't know is the answer.
Or what do they put on waffle? That must be Dutch, is it?
Interesting. I'm not sure about the origin. I'll just tell you the words I've got here in front of me.
Okay.
You're doing very well, though.
Yeah.
Good guesses, I think. Even though I know they're right or wrong.
They could be
guesses.
Dutch. Yeah.
Cookie. Cookie is Dutch, yeah.
Ooh.
Cookie, yeah. I'm hankering for a cookie. So if you say I'm hankering for a cookie, it's a expression almost completely made of Dutch words.
Wow. That's interesting. Yeah. Because cookies is very popular in the United States, isn't it?
It may have something to do with the fact that the Dutch ran New York and that part, New Amsterdam, it was called. And so maybe some of the words came in, via the Dutch that way. Because there are places in New York with Dutch names like Harlem.
Yeah, sure. Yeah.
Just one more. There are a few others as well.
Yeah.
Coleslaw is Dutch.
Coleslaw. Yeah, I don't like coleslaw.
That's neither here nor there. It's from Dutch.
Is it? Wow.
Yeah. I'm hankering for cookies and coleslaw.
Together. This is an interesting combination.
Coleslaw cookies. And scone.
Scone.
Although via Scottish, this is according to I think the Wikipedia, I'm not sure, maybe not. So scone comes via Scottish, and it's in fact which took it from Dutch schoenbread. Schoenbrud.
Schoenbrud.
Schoenbrud. Schoen like means bright, and broad is bread.
Bright bread.
Yeah.
Is that because it's got raisins in it? Is that why?
I had no idea. I don't know. They don't necessarily have raisins in.
Or kind of sultanas, don't they? Yeah.
Not always.
No?
Not always. No, John.
I don't know what kind of scones
where you're getting
have.
your scones from.
No, well, okay. Mine are obviously better. Yeah.
Pickle. From the Dutch peckle. Yeah.
Pickle.
Yeah.
I'm hankering for some pickle and some why am I doing an American impression? Don't know. Hankering for some pickle and some coleslaw with a scone.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So those are some of the food words. And I said they were related to medicine. A lot of, I don't know why, but some words related to medicine come from Dutch. And what is another word for a doctor?
A quack.
Ah, very good. Correct. Absolutely correct. A quack, which is short for quacksalver, which we've lost the salver part in English, but it comes from the Dutch, quacksalver, which literally means someone who uses ointments.
Right.
Yeah. But now it's a pejorative term for a doctor, isn't it?
It is.
Yeah. I've got to see the quack. It's not. Don't say that to your doctor, by the way. Hello, quack. No, don't.
No, because it suggests that they're not really qualified, doesn't it? And they're not really
possibly,
real. Yeah.
So that's it. Maybe let's move on to a couple of expressions. Are you ready for this?
I'm very ready.
So we've already looked at Dutch courage. And now if you take your very special lady friend to the rest of the fine restaurants, when you're hankering, she's hankering for some chicken with coleslaw and scones. You take her to the restaurants, the old Dutch restaurants, and at the end of the meal, the bill comes. What will you do? Will you pay the bill, John, or will you go Dutch?
Is that where the expression comes from? I mean, I thought it meant something different. So go Dutch is to separate the bill, is that right?
Yeah, it means each person pays their own part of the bill. That's what go Dutch means. I don't know what else you're thinking.
Oh no, I'm thinking of something, another expression. Yeah.
It's like not the one we're talking about now.
No, I'm thinking about go commando, but that means something totally different.
Yes. Okay. That's right. I'm not wearing underwear, isn't it?
It is. Yes.
I don't know where we got to that point. No, go Dutch. Shall we go Dutch?
Okay. Yeah.
You pay your part of the bill, I pay mine.
Wow. Okay. No, that's an interesting one, isn't it? And is that a thing? Like, do Dutch people would always share the bill? Would they?
I think they're more likely to than Southern Europeans. However, I should say about this expression, again, it's disputed the origin. Some people say it's because, again, we had a conflict with the Dutch and we thought the Dutch were mean people, mean with everything, mean with money, so that they wouldn't even buy their date a meal. So say go Dutch. So that's how it got into the English language. However, again, don't shoot the messenger. That's disputed. So maybe that's correct, maybe not. Okay.
Is that to cover your back when you get lots of abusive messages?
Get the lawyers. Yes. Well, I'll give you lots of words. I'll just read one or two out to you without going through their meanings, so just so you can see how many there are. Aloof, which means you don't give direct answers to something. What's your name? Why do you want to know that? Don't be so aloof.
That sounds a little bit French, doesn't it?
Aloof. It does sound French, but it's not. Deck, that's from the ships, of course. Decoy. Drug. Drug is, it's from droge vater, which means dry barrels. Something to do.
Dry barrels.
Let's not look for an explanation now.
Okay.
Freight again, another nautical term.
Mm.
Okay, so freight and golf.
Golf.
Apparently, it comes from Dutch. I'm not sure about that. I heard other things, but that's what they say.
Was that a sport invented in Scotland, though?
I thought so. Iceberg.
Iceberg. Wow.
Ice mountain means in Dutch.
Mm.
Splinter, again, that's connected with medicine. I'm going to give you one more word because it's not directly from Dutch. It's from Afrikaans. It's a very interesting word because it's one of those words which are important in one language, but have not interesting at all in another language, not useful at all. But in English, it is quite, everyone will know what this is. And it is aardvark.
Aardvark. Well, when you see it, though, it does look like that, doesn't it?
Aardvark. But if you ask an English person, aardvark, if you say aardvark, they'll know what it is, more or less. They say, oh, it's an animal, isn't it? Bit of an ugly animal.
Yeah,
you know
pretty.
what an aardvark is.
Yeah, they're very nice animals.
Now, of course, they're very nice animals. But of course, the reason why it's so important in English is because it's the first word in the dictionary.
Ah, yeah, because there's double A.
It has double A, so it's the first word in dictionary. So that's why aardvarks get discussed. And also why there are lots of companies that call themselves Aardvark Limited. Because if you're looking for a plumber or something like that, or an electrician, you go down the list and say, oh, who's this? Aardvark Limited. Oh, I'll call them. Shouldn't we look down the list further down? Maybe there's something else. No. I can't be bothered. Let's just get the first one. Aardvark Limited. Let's call them. So just by it's true, people are like that. People are like that. They don't want to scroll to page 32 to find Zeitgeist plumbers.
Zeitgeist plumbers. Yeah,
I won't be very good as if I open up a plumbing company. I'm never going to get the work.
Well, so basically, you should have called your podcast Aardvark Banana. Is that what? Because perhaps
maybe if I rename it Aardvark Banana, it's going to have better choice. But I'm not. It's going to have more success. But I'm not sure that's how people choose their podcasts these days, by looking at an alphabetical list of podcasts.
Probably not. That's true.
No.
Yeah.
But it's true though. There are lots of companies called Aardvark because you immediately get a little bit of an advantage because you're top of the list, especially if you're offering a service.
I'm not sure if I would employ somebody called Aardvark plumbers though. I would expect them to turn up with long noses or something.
Well, I don't see the problem with that. I mean, what about Apple computers? What have Apple's got to do with computers? Nothing. So you're just using a name, which you can visualize.
No, well, fair enough. That's a good point.
Yeah. I'll just give you one more expression before we finish. All right.
Yeah.
And that is to speak double Dutch.
Speak double Dutch. I like that expression. That's a nice one.
What does it mean, John? Tell me.
Speak double Dutch is not really making sense, is it? So you're kind of trying to express something and you don't really understand what I'm saying. You say, John, you're speaking double Dutch. Try and say it in a simpler way.
Exactly. So the interesting thing about double Dutch is sometimes somebody's speaking your own language is speaking English, but you don't understand what they're talking about. Either they're not being clear or they're using lots of technical words. So you'll say, okay, yeah, they're speaking double Dutch there. Please speak more clearly and precisely.
Yeah, it would be used, wouldn't it? Potentially, because you were talking about technology. So I mean, maybe if you were particularly geeky, you could be like, oh, and John, this has got an SSD and it's I don't know, it's stuff like that.
Yes, indeed.
And yeah, it's difficult to understand geeks sometimes.
The origin is, well, you heard a lot of Dutch, I guess. I think that's it. You would hear a lot of Dutch in England. You wouldn't understand Dutch. So something was so complicated. And it was even, you say double Dutch, you have double the level of complication of weirdness. So yeah, that's how it got its name, double Dutch.
So I guess it's again quite pejorative, isn't it?
Yes, all the expressions about the Dutch are pejorative.
It's how much we like them.
Yeah, there are other expressions about Dutch, but they're just not very common.
Yeah,
that's why I didn't add them. I think I'll be a Dutch uncle. I'll be a Dutch uncle, which means no way, absolutely no way. Pigs might fly, but I don't think people use that very much.
I've never even heard that one.
You never heard it? No, I think a lot of people haven't. So there are a few others related to Dutch, but I just gave you the ones which are still in common use. Okay.
That's very enlightening, though. I feel as if my English is better now.
Yeah, but you see what I mean, John, that it's good. You should just definitely tell this to your students. Learn words of non-Latin origin. And yeah, some good ones out there. Why not?
Yeah, well, I think it really helps improve your vocabulary, doesn't it? So
definitely.
It kind of gives you more variety, sounds a bit different. It sounds as if you're not emulating your own language so much.
And also you're learning a bit of Dutch as well.
Exactly.
Your next trip to Amsterdam or Rotterdam or The Hague, you'll understand a bit better.
Yeah, well,
impress them.
You could, yes, exactly. And
if you're hankering a trip to the Netherlands, now's the time.
Yeah, you could only eat certain foods though, so yeah.
That's true. You can only eat coleslaw or pickles. It's the only thing you can say.
Yeah.
Cookies. Okay, John, before we finish, tell us, who are you? What are you doing here?
Well, I am John from English with Monty, and English with Monty is a podcast which focuses on the English language as well. And Gideon's on it too. And that's what makes my podcast special. It's because Gideon's on it.
You're too kind. And do watch our videos on Let Them Talk TV on YouTube. Thank you for listening. I was going to say watching. Thank you for listening, and catch you next time. Bye.
See you next time. Bye.